technically we're live, but you got a couple, good 30 seconds to a minute.
Okay. All right.
Something happens, but and if we see somebody pop up in the chat, all the more reason you can just kind of take off and run if you want to.
Okay. I wish that I had taken my daughter's Sonic. I bought her the Build-A-Bear Sonic figures. So she's got Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Shadow. I should have taken all those and placed them strategically behind me.
Nice. Yeah, I don't have any Sonic like figurines or anything.
I got some blue, and that's about it.
I have all the Sonic figures from the third movie because I bought those for Evangeline. So I probably could have dug around and took those too.
You should have called her Evangelion. I would have liked that more.
My wife named her.
Close enough. But if you want, man, go ahead. Bring us in.
All right. So I'd like to welcome everybody to a special, if not unusual, episode of Collector's Hideout. It's unusual because our leader and the creator of this group, Chris Wheezy, is not here. He's actually on vacation with his wife, and we hope he's having a fantastic time. But we took this opportunity to bring you guys a very special episode of the podcast where we're joined by some Cuban guy.
What's up?
We're joined by Kid Machinate.
Hello.
All right, and of course, as always, we are joined by Shellhead Tony.
Hola.
And we are going to spend the next hour or so talking about Sonic the Hedgehog. All the movies. Very cool. Very cool. We're gonna hit as many of the games as we can, as many of the mainline games. We might even talk about the movies a little bit, and if we're very lucky, maybe we can get a couple of comments about the cartoon shows from when we were kids. So let's go ahead and get this thing started.
All right.
So for the duration of this podcast, I'm not going to be leading the discussion as often as I guess Chris does, simply because while I enjoy Sonic games, I don't have as much knowledge on Sonic games as Jose and Victor. And so I'm going to kind of let them steer where the conversation should go, and I will be throwing in comments here and there until we get to the 3D games, and then I can definitely jump in with some opinions and things more often.
Sure.
Somebody's rocking a lot of background before we get going.
Oh, I think it's Victor. So I hear some noise.
What's in the background? Is it a TV?
Yeah, probably TV.
Can't use that phone. Sweet.
So
No one can use that. Oh,
Yeah, if that person could just cease to exist, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Can't use the goddamn phone.
I don't know. I mean, should we talk about like how Sonic came to be, like in the first place?
It's all you guys, man. You guys run.
Yeah, I mean,
I do think that would be an interesting conversation because it definitely revolves around Mr. Psycho's favorite subject, which is Nintendo.
Sure. I mean, if you guys want to talk about the creation of Sonic and the history of Sonic, I'm good. We can start it off like that. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna be like a Sonic historian, but like I'll kind of give information on like what I know. So obviously, like Sonic came to be as a because Sega, right, to compete with Nintendo, they needed some kind of like mascot because during that time it was like I think it was around like 1989, like between the years of like 1989 when the Master System was out, Sega was competing with Nintendo in the home console market. Nintendo was kind of destroying everyone because there was not really like any competition, so they held a very large part of the market share. And I know in Japan there's actually another system called Victor. Do you know what the system was? Like is it NCE or something like that?
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know it by name.
Yeah, there was like another system that was actually ahead of Sega. I think it was called the NCE, but I'm not like 100%. Or like the company, maybe the name was the NCE or something. But basically, like Sega was actually number 3. So they were like a very distant third. So they wanted to kind of jump ahead of the competition because the like 16-bit was starting to become a thing with home computer systems and things like that starting to turn out like 16-bit games. So they were like, they wanted to corner the market in terms of like the home console. So that's when they came out with the Mega Drive. When the Mega Drive first came out, a lot of the games that came out for the Mega Drive were like primarily arcade ports that didn't do particularly well. One of the highlights of like early Mega Drive success was the game Altered Beast, which pushed a lot of those consoles in the early day, but they still were like trying to find something to compete with Nintendo. So, from what I know of the history, um, the president of Sega at the time was basically like, "Hey, we need to find a way to compete with Mario, or compete with Nintendo, and that starts with having some kind of like mascot, for like marketing and in terms of like having like some kind of platformer." Because at the time, and John, you know this, there was like hundreds of like Mario knockoff games that were trying to copy like
Yep.
what that platform was doing.
Yeah.
So, and of course, like none of them were successful, obviously, or as successful as Mario. So around that time, also like Super Mario Brothers 3 was out.
Mhm.
So, and that was the number one game across all countries. It was like hugely popular. Nintendo did like a big promotional advertising like extravaganza with coming out with like the
Wizard.
movie The Wizard,
Wizard, yeah.
the Nintendo World Championship, where they like unveiled the game and like all this crazy stuff. So they were like really much like at the top of their game, but also right that Mario Brothers 3 came out when 16-bit was starting to come into existence. So Sega, because they had the Mega Drive out, they're like, hey, since we have this in home markets now, like we can actually beat Nintendo to the punch here with more like advanced technology and like all that stuff. So from what I know of like the history, uh, they basically like assembled a team with the head being this guy named Yuji Naka, who is the if you guys know like what Team Sonic is, he was like basically like became like the head of Team Sonic, and they had like this whole team come together and create a design for a character. And it actually started as a contest within Sega of who can come up with like the best design for this like new character, this new mascot for Sega. And that's where you probably have heard like a lot of the different concepts and designs that came out, including like the rabbit and like an armadillo and like all this thing, and they ultimately settled on the design for like Sonic as like a hedgehog.
Yep.
The other thing that was really interesting is a lot of the design choices came because they specifically wanted to get ahead in America, because during that time, technology, right, like consoles specifically would come out in Japan first, and then it would actually be a few years until they then came to America. So they wanted something to coincide with the release of the Genesis in America,
Yeah.
to basically like corner the market and have like something that can compete with Nintendo, because the Super Nintendo was still about a year or two away. So the only competition they really had was just the Nintendo Entertainment System in America with Super Mario Brothers 3. So they were like, hey, let's come up with this game, and let's specifically target it towards Americans. So a lot of Sonic's design actually was based around like American culture things. That's what. So a big reason why he's the color blue is because he really
He's
like
red, white, and
he's
blue.
red, white, and blue
Yeah.
for
It's
that
also why
specific
he eats-
reason.
It's also why he eats chili dogs.
Yeah, yeah. It's so, and if you look at his shoes,
They're
shoes
delicious, but yes.
yeah. If you look at his shoes are modeled like after Michael Jackson's shoes. So with the white socks and everything, he has his face, his eyes are modeled after character Felix the Cat, or
Mhm.
and he wears like white gloves akin to like Mickey Mouse. So like he has like all these different things that the
Very
merit.
Western influenced.
Correct. Right. So that's really where a lot of the design came from, which I always found to be like super interesting. That it wasn't like really catered towards Japanese, it actually catered towards the American market because they wanted specifically to do that. So yeah, so but like when the game was really like when they were coming up with like the concept for the game, there's like a really like crazy stuff that they were trying to make, because what they wanted was they wanted something that could compete with Mario, but they wanted also something that's going to be very, very different from Mario games. So what they did was they started first with like a baseline of like, okay, what can we like kind of have with Mario or have in common with Mario? So the original story for Sonic was actually going to be, it actually was going to be him saving a princess. The princess's name was Madonna. So, which is also was like came from American influence.
That would have
So-
absolutely changed things for
That
Sonic.
explained her outfit.
Correct. And if you actually look at early designs, Victor probably knows this too. It actually did look like America's Madonna. It was like purposefully trying to do that. But yeah, so they had that. Man, there was like other stuff. Like Sonic was supposed to be like in a band. So like part of the story was like he was in a band with like all these other like, you know, animal characters, and one of the bandmates actually, or actually I think a couple of the bandmates later came into other games. So like Vex the Gator was originally like he was like the keyboardist of the band like originally, but he ended up becoming like an actual character in I think it was Knuckles Chaotix was the first game that
That
he was
sounds
out
right.
in.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they actually they took a lot of stuff still from like the original design, but
All right,
ultimately
I don't want to get too bogged down in the lore because we've been in the lore for a couple minutes and we haven't even gotten
Oh,
where we need to go.
Lord.
Yeah, so
yeah,
let's start. Let's transition to the Master System was essentially a complete and utter failure. They needed to take a foothold with the Mega Drive, which we in America would call the Genesis. And so that was the genesis, pun intended, of the creation of Sonic the Hedgehog, right? So how do you compete? Because at the time, everything was about characters. Everything was a character. There was a mascot, right? Like you had to have it. Nintendo had Mario, Nintendo had Donkey Kong. So how do you do it? You have Sonic. The same way that when PlayStation came out, how are we going to do it? We're going to do Crash Bandicoot until we get tired of them and we'll throw them away, right? So
I got to give a little bit of credit where credit is due. Cuban, that's way more shit than I wanted to hear about Sonic. Before Sonic was Sonic. Not that it's not useful knowledge, man. That's awesome, and I applaud you for having that kind of knowledge.
So let's say we could talk about like so basically like when it came out, right? It came out 1991 was the original Sonic the Hedgehog game.
I'm going to start this. I'm going to start this off by saying this. It's definitely a hot take, and I know that you and Victor are going to be ready to pick it apart. Sonic 1 sucked. Sonic 1 was a terrible, terrible game. Right? You have no spin dash. Everything is slow. It controlled like ass. The game was not good.
Okay, if you compare it to like later games, sure, but at the time, that's incorrect. No, Sonic.
These were fake glasses, so you can push up your points because you make way too many.
Actually, no. When it came out, though, Sonic 1 was actually a fantastic game when it first came out. When a big part of the reason why was because it was very fresh. It was something very brand new. The graphics at the time were incredible. Specifically like things like the special stages were something that like at the time like blew people's minds because
colors and the movement.
Yes, the colors, the way that the stage moved around was unique, and the background was constantly changing, and it was animated
fluid with your character.
Yeah, it was animated, which was like something that you never really saw like in games. So it was like very, very crazy. On top of that, just the way that the character moved, the way the levels were designed were very different than Mario, whereas Mario is just like side scroller, point A to point B, and it's basically like a straight line. In Sonic games, a lot of them had levels, right? So particularly like areas like the Labyrinth Zone, well, it was very much like a labyrinth, right? It was like a maze. Um, so like there was a lot of like really clever design, and it was really easy. So it was like the way the game worked was really easy. There was no like power ups that the character had to pick up and shoot like in Mega Man or any other games like that. It was very basic. It was just he ran, he collected rings. There were power ups you could jump on, but his body was the weapon.
Yeah.
So he
didn't run very fast.
Well, for the time it was. For the time, it very much was fast. Like
no,
it,
I mean, because
no, it
again,
was.
like I get what you're saying, but I disagree 100%.
Yeah, because you're looking at it. You're looking at it from the lens of like later games.
No, I'm looking
later
at
games were faster.
No, I'm looking at it from the lens of Sonic came out around like after Mario 3. We already established that. And Mario ran fast as hell in Mario 3. Sonic did not get up to the speed that Mario got in Mario 3. Absolutely not. It was a much slower game, and he jumped like he was stuck in molasses.
That is 0% correct.
Yeah, that is not true. That's like not you're misremembering the game. If you actually like went back and played the game, and if we put the game side by side, you will see like the side-scrolling aspect of Sonic the Hedgehog is faster.
I think the only reason you think that Mario was faster was because you could catch a small like sprint in spots, and of course,
you could hold B.
Yeah,
you could hold B to run with Mario. And what I'm saying is, because I actually played Sonic 1 earlier today to make sure that game is slow. I don't care what you say. Like I played it on the Sega or the Genesis app and the Switch 2. Like the game is slow.
Yeah,
according to speed runs I've seen, it's not slow.
Yeah, it's not slow.
It's definitely not. But let me. So I'm going to kind of give some takes or weigh in on this. Sonic, of course, did have the idle animations, which is cool. You had the loop-de-loop switch. You know, if for some reason you think it's slower, just take one of those and it's instantly faster than what you're talking about. But the slow aspects of the first Sonic, because like I don't think it's bad, but I wouldn't go out of my way to play it per se, and that's for two main reasons. One is the Labyrinth Zone, which already got mentioned. Water levels kind of suck unless it's Donkey Kong Country anyway.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's just the spikes, the having to, which I guess this is different, right? Because you had to actually breathe underwater. Sonic couldn't swim, so you had to do the
which also like differentiated him from other games as well. Like
yes,
that was something that we didn't really see in games before, where you had like a limited amount of time in water and then you could die, like, especially in a platformer.
Yes. But if we want to talk about, Sonic and Molasses, that's where it is. And it's a whole level, the whole 2 acts. The boss was like that too. And then towards the very end of the game, you got to do it again in purple water. And that's like, in my opinion, the worst section of the damn game.
Agreed.
But like, you just can't deny, I would go on a limb to say Green Hill Zone was more of a big deal than like Mario's 1-1 because they replayed it in like every Sonic game afterwards, like, or at least a bunch of them. Right. So it's something that kept going.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's Stardust or Star Hill, the fifth level in the
Starlight Zone.
Starlight Zone, that one.
Yeah.
Great music, great level.
Yeah. Great music. Like throughout the entire, like, especially like the first 3 games, I would say. The first two games for sure.
There is a walk delay, and like again, I'm going back from I did not play this when it first came out, like most people. I didn't get it till much later in life. But I do remember one of the things I do remember with Sonic, and it's when you're stopping too. He doesn't stop right away, and he doesn't start right away. And there's like that walk delay that almost like yeah, all right, I'll get going. And then when you stop, and it's like, all right, I guess I'll stop. Like it's that 1-2 step kind of thing, almost like he's traveling in basketball. Does anybody think about like?
You're right. Yeah, no, you're right.
But I don't think it made the game slow. But there was that lag delay, which you had in Mario, but not to the degree of Sonic.
No, But of course, Sonic is going way faster, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. 100%. But just
Mach speed versus, come on. It's
throwing the knowledge out there. The all I have for Sonic.
Yeah, Sonic goes Mach speed in Sonic 1, that's for sure. Womp womp.
Moving on.
Yeah. So no, like I said, I think yeah, like I mean for sure, like the first Sonic is obviously like the slowest. Like I think everyone will like agree with that. So at least we're talking about like the 2D Sonic games, obviously, because the Spin Dash wasn't actually introduced until like game number 2. But that's why also like if you go back, if you play like a lot of the Sega classic games or the remastered games and whatnot, like a lot of them actually include the Sonic Dash in Sonic 1. So if you play like a lot of like the newer versions, they'll include the Sonic Dash to play through Sonic 1, which is great. So it definitely like changes the game.
If you have it on PS5, then they include that.
Yeah.
Because that's how I introduced my son to it, because we didn't have any other platform to play it on. And he was playing the original Sonic game through that. And yeah, I'm like, oh, I remember having this. And when I played it as a kid, I remember having this.
Yeah.
And he absolutely does have it in the, I call it a remake. It's not a remake, but the re-release, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's like the Sega collection games or the Sonic collection games.
That's exactly what it was.
So yeah.
I just want to point something out real quick. When we talked video games last time, we were talking about Mega Man and Mario. I want to point out how I said what Nintendo did with Mario starting and stopping was intentional. And Victor and Chris were like, oh, it's not intentional, blah, blah, blah. But now Joe's like, oh, Sonic's delay is intentional because of his speed. And Victor's all, exactly. Right? Like, yeah. If I couldn't say it was intentional with Nintendo, we can't now say it's intentional with Sega. We're not doing that.
Dun, dun, dun.
What do you mean? Because you literally brought up the momentum thing, and Sonic, whether you were talking about the games or we're talking about the actual speed of the characters, like really, like someone moving at Mach speed, it would make sense. This is basic shit.
If the programming was not intentional with Mario, it's absolutely not intentional with Sonic. That's what I'm saying.
But forget real logic, right? Sonic is powered by blast processing. Mario isn't. So,
Victor, you need glasses. I'm just throwing that out there. I need you to fix some shit halfway through.
Blast processing. Yes, Genesis does what Nintendo basically go out of business.
Ooh, bitch.
So
haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, that was so that whole like ad campaign was like specifically Genesis against the original NES. They ended up changing everything like once the SNES came out. But that like all that it wasn't that didn't actually have to do with blast processing. That was actually like just saying, hey, we have a 16-bit system and Nintendo don't. So
is your argument basically? And guys, please stop me because I am not that well versed, right? I played some of the games, that's it. But so the understanding is that we had original Nintendo. We had Sega came out with the Master System. And I'm not going to say it flopped because I owned one. I enjoyed it, but it did not compete with Nintendo. It just couldn't, right?
I mean, nothing could.
I mean,
the games weren't there. The hype wasn't there. If you didn't own a Nintendo, you weren't cool.
Yeah,
that's all there was to it.
Yeah.
So then,
I was just saying, listen, I owned a Virtual Boy, and I enjoyed it, but that flopped. Like, you can say something flopped.
Virtual Boy was the biggest.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo had its share of flops for sure.
That thing was such a hunk of shit, dude. It was fucking terrible. It was like, it was Tiger Electronics on your face.
But
I'm sorry, that's all that was.
Here's the thing, though, is that
Victor laughs because he knows exactly what I'm talking about.
It's true.
Here's the thing, is that I mean, Sega did legitimately, like Sonic was a big reason why Sega became a household name. Like it was probably the reason, honestly. Like if we're getting down to brass tacks here, like it was the reason.
But Genesis NES killer, correct?
I don't know about that. I mean, I think that people undervalue how important it was when Mortal Kombat launched on the Genesis with Blood.
Yeah, but that was like much later. I'm talking about I'm talking about like 1991, right, where both systems are out. Right, that was the SNES's first year. That was the Genesis's first year.
Yeah.
Right. The big reason why the Genesis jumped in the market share so much was literally because they bundled Sonic with the Genesis. That was the reason.
You didn't have the Genesis grabbing that much market share the way that you're alluding until Sonic 2.
No, that's not true.
It is true.
No, look it up. Literally look it up. I'm like the Genesis outsold the SNES that year. They outsold the SNES. I think it was like 2.8 million units against like 2 million units on like for that Christmas, like that year of 1991 when it first came out. Now, granted, the Genesis had a lot of time to sell, so it was out for much longer than the SNES that year. So
yeah, so
but it was because
there was
two different reasons though, right? Because it wasn't just the Genesis. It was the reason was because they bundled the Genesis, and this was in America, by the way. They bundled the Genesis with Sonic because originally, right, the Genesis was being bundled with Altered Beast, and they were like, no, we need to actually like change things up in order to compete with Nintendo. We need to put our brand new game here that everyone's loving and everyone thinks it's the best Genesis game out right now. We need to bundle it together. The other thing was the price. They cut the price for the Genesis by $50. So they actually undercut the price of SNES by $50 because they sold that year the Genesis for $149, and the SNES, which did not have they bundled it with Super Mario World for like $199. So that was like a big reason why.
So by comparison, right, and this is maybe like skipping forward a bit because, you know, this is considering the entire life cycle from the list I'm looking at, right? You have the top 3 selling games of the Genesis. You have Sonic the Hedgehog at 15 million. You have Sonic 2 at 7.55 million. And then you have the first Mortal Kombat at 4.33 million.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like Sonic, I think you don't see how much the original Sonic the Hedgehog actually played.
Because I think your numbers are skewed. Like I think
they're not. Victor just read them.
I think that your data. No. I'm talking about you talking about the bundle and how it outsold. I'm thinking that, like, I don't see it.
Look it up.
Because I'm looking it up. I'm looking at the numbers right now. Right. So it said the SNES launched right. In Japan in November of 1990 and in North America in August of 1991, right? Mm-hmm. The Sega bundled Sonic with the Genesis in 1991. Let's see what it says.
Yeah, it was for Christmas. So it was like in November, I think. Like either in October or November.
But so the point is, like when you're talking about Sega, the Genesis outselling the Super Nintendo, what you're not considering is the fact that just like every console release, when a console is brand new, it's hard to get it to market, right? So like they didn't have as many consoles. So if you go into a store to buy something and the only console for a Christmas is the Genesis, that's why game companies don't use the initial launch year when they're putting out numbers, because those numbers are skewed. They're not accurate. The data's there, but the data is not an accurate depiction of what happened.
Okay, but yeah, I think you're misunderstanding my point, because my point is not that like Sega was better or did better than Nintendo.
No, but you said Sega outsold
they did.
the Super Nintendo because of Sonic, and what I'm saying is they outsold it just because the console had been available since 1989. And they had tons of them in the store.
Yeah, but I'm talking about specifically for the year of 1991. Like in the year of 1991, that's how many units they sold.
Yes, because the console had been out for 2 years already.
No, but I'm like the 2.8 million number.
No, right, I get what you're saying. Yeah, but what I'm saying is when the Switch 2 launched, go back to when the Switch 1 launched in 2017, you couldn't find it anywhere.
Right. That was the same thing with the SNES.
But
that's true.
You could find the 3DS.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is once you build up that warehouse stock,
you
can send it.
Yeah.
Nintendo didn't have the warehouse stock of the Super Nintendo. So it's comparing apples to oranges. If they don't have the console to send out, they can't sell it. Right? Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
No, so, and they sold out. Like I'm not denying that fact.
So the numbers are skewed.
But
because there were more Segas.
Okay. But John, but the point is not the numbers. The point is the increase. I'm trying to explain that the increase in the market share of the Sega Genesis was huge and exploded because of Sonic. I'm not saying that like Sonic or that like Sega beat Nintendo that year, like specifically because of Sonic. No, like I'm saying that they increased their market share substantially, right? Because before, like Nintendo was beating their ass, right? Nintendo was like destroying them in the market. So like even with like the Genesis and everything out, like Sonic had still been out, but Nintendo was still outselling them, right? If you just look at the actual NES system.
Yeah.
Right? What I'm saying is that because of Sonic, they jumped substantially to become like a legitimate competitor with Nintendo. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. I just think that there's more to do with it than just Sonic.
No,
I understand.
But I mean, would you disagree with that statement that Sonic had a lot to do with it?
I mean, I think that Sonic definitely helped their popularity, and I think that it definitely helped them sell more units, especially when you consider that Altered Beast is just a terrible game.
I mean, it's not a terrible game, but it's not Sonic.
It was not something people actively.
It was for what it was at the time. It was good. Like it was a good, fun game.
It was a good arcade game. It was not a good home game.
Yeah, it was still, it is what it is. But they had other games too. They had like Columns and like some other games as well. But, yeah, the main thing that pushed the product and what made it like a global phenomenon and what kicked off, right, the Sega versus Nintendo war was Sonic the Hedgehog. Like that's what it was.
So let's now skip forward to the game that everybody actually enjoys, which is Sonic 2.
Search for Spock,
which was also bundled with the Genesis.
Yes,
which they, as soon as it came out, they ended up swapping, and they're like, "All right, let's put in Sonic 2.
Sonic 2." Yeah.
And that was actually the first console I got. Was the one that was bundled with Sonic 2. I got it that very next year. So
yeah, so I never owned a Genesis until I got much older. I had a Game Gear because one of my cousins, I don't even remember, my older cousin, her boyfriend, now husband, knew somebody that had a Game Gear and was getting rid of it. So he got it and they gave it to me. And I had the first Sonic game on the Game Gear. And I always thought it was interesting because the Game Gear version of the first Sonic game was just a port of the Master System version of the first Sonic game. But Sonic 2 was where people started really playing the game, in my opinion. Like, that's where Sonic became what Sonic was going to be.
Yeah.
Even though I only enjoyed playing it when Trisha and I played. Like, when I had someone to play with, I enjoyed playing Sonic 2. But other than that, it was not something I was overly excited about.
It's a very fast game.
If you're playing with somebody, then that's great. You got somebody else to play the game with you. If you were playing by yourself and you had Tails run along with you, you might as well be playing on hard mode because Tails lags behind in all the special stages. And if you just want to have a bad time, that's what you do.
That was great. That was always great because I always did that with my brother. It was the best.
So now we're gonna bash Tails. Okay, I see what we're gonna do here.
I mean,
Tails was a character. He was a character for sure.
Tails clearly was not powered by the same blast processing. He always got left behind. He had to fly back on screen. That's just how
he was made to look cute and fly around.
That's right.
Oh man,
it's funny too.
He's adorable. I saw the movies.
Yeah. If you ever watch speedrunners too, like it's crazy the stuff that they do with Tails. Actually,
I love watching speedrunners for Sonic 2.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to talk about your memories with Sonic 2, I think now would be a great time to do that. I don't have much to say about Sonic 2.
Well, here's what I'll say about Sonic 2. I genuinely, and this might be a hot take. I don't think it's a very hot take, but I genuinely think Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is the best Sega Genesis game of all time. Like, and I think, yeah, I do.
That's a hot take for me.
Yeah, I like when you put everything on the table, I think what Sonic 2 did was they improved on an already like good system in like a bunch of different ways. They made the game faster. They made the levels a lot like the graphics were improved, like the level designs were improved. Everything was a lot more smooth. The game just felt smoother. Like if you play Sonic 1 and Sonic 2, like it's no contest. Like Sonic 2 just feels
Absolutely.
so much smoother.
Yeah, it goes back to like Mega Man. It's the same idea.
Yeah, it's when we're talking about like the difference between Mega Man 1 and Mega Man 2. Like it was
right.
a
And now
very
6 was better. Yeah,
stark.
for sure. Keep going.
Yeah, it was a very stark difference. So, but on top of that, like just the music, I mean, everything. Like Sonic 2 was just like the total package, and I still think like Sonic 2 is like one of the best platformers of all time. Like I think it's like top 5 for sure.
So is it safe to say, without cutting you off, man? I'm sorry, but if we don't interject, we won't get in with one another. But would you say it's safe to say you feel the same way about Sonic 2 that you would have felt about Mega Man 2, 3, whatever, something different in the series, just because of what you lacked in the first one, you got in the second one?
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. I would say so. I think like everything Sonic 2 did was just substantially better than Sonic 1. Like down to like the special stages being something like incredibly unique and new. Like the 3D perspective for the special stages in Sonic 2 was like it like blew your mind when you first saw it. You're like, "Oh my god, I'm actually," even though it wasn't technically 3D, it looked 3D. You know what I mean?
And the illusion, Jose.
The way they animated
Yeah,
it, for sure.
yeah.
And there was Larry.
Yeah,
it was in the game, so
it was great. It was great. So and like I don't know which game came first, but like there was like a lot of like reminiscence to like F-Zero, where it's like
Super Nintendo?
the speed, yeah. So like the speed and the objects coming at you. So that's why it was just like it was.
I
really
don't know
cool.
if I'd equate those two. I'm not trying to downplay the game, but I don't know if I'd equate those two together because I played a lot of F-Zero because my friend had a Super Nintendo. So I played it a lot, and I would never equate those two games together or even compare them. Just my opinion.
I'm just talking specifically the special stage from Sonic 2. Yeah, like if you look at it, just like the way the sprites move, but it just Sonic 2 obviously had, like the half pipe aspect and it looking 3D, which is like was really really cool at the time for sure. But especially for 1992 is like crazy.
With so many games we had available, and Victor, I don't take away because I'm sure you have a ton of stuff to say. Your mind's about to blow up, but I would just like I don't want to take away from it, but I'm just thinking about like in looking back. So what Joe's saying, some things in the chat about different games or whatever, and I keep thinking about it. You're like, oh, Sonic was probably the best game you would equate for Genesis, being one of the best games out there, and I'm like, I think about what Joe said, and I remember saying this years and years and years ago about how, man, if you buy Nintendo, they had all the kiddie games and all the, and I know it's a very stereotypical thing to say, but all the kiddie games and all the like family games. But if you wanted like blood and you wanted violence and gore, you played Genesis. And I keep thinking about the games that come out, like all the X-Men games and how badass they were on Genesis. Yep. And all the freaking the like Carnage, like all the MCU stuff. But for me, Venom, Carnage, anything that had to do with Venom or Carnage or Spider-Man, and Maximum Carnage, as bad as the game is, the graphics and the gameplay and the skips and the characters that were in it, it's just one of those cool games I really enjoyed playing.
Yeah, it was exactly the same on the Super Nintendo.
Separation anxiety as well. So to kind of get like to nerd out a tad about like the music. Super Nintendo had the superior sound chip. However, as a result of that, what you heard on the Genesis had like more of a crunch to it. So things would set like
it was
certain
more
games.
8-bit. Let's say that. You got the 8-bit sound, but you have the 16-bit graphics and movement.
Yeah.
Right.
But that boils down to like, the Genesis had older technology technically than the SNES.
Yes. So, unless you had, say, like we're going to get to Sonic 3, a Sonic 3 or a Streets of Rage with Yozo Koshiro or a Jesper Kid before Assassin's Creed fame, I'd said this in the Mega Man episode, The Adventures of Batman and Robin on the Genesis. Amazing things they were able to do with a definitely inferior sound chip.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I hear you. So you forgot a couple of games in there, Tony, because you're mentioning a bunch of the games that you liked on the Genesis, like and if you wanted the blood, if you wanted the gore, right? Like you go to the Genesis. If you wanted Doom missing half the levels, you went to the Genesis. If you wanted Doom sounding like crap, you went to the Genesis. Like you're forgetting some of their major hitters there, right? Like some of the major standouts.
In case anyone hasn't figured it out, a good portion of this show is going to be John showing the very point that he was calling my partner out for being a hater about. John is a Nintendo shell. Let's just put it out there. And, just to give everyone context, I want to make sure everyone has a fair watch here.
You know, if you happen to notice, John's tag is he's mad about most things.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. The angry gamer, but I got to be careful because I don't want to be the angry video game nerd. So Victor, like, what were your thoughts on Sonic 2?
Sonic 2 was a lot of like, it's less about the game for me and more just a 2-player experience. Cause I at the time, like there was a point in time where I only had the NES. So I went like across the street to play, Sonic with a friend, and we played a lot of 2-player mode, which was, again, as I said earlier, cause speaking from experience, it was a lot better than trying to do those fucking special stages with just Sonic and Tails. You play Sonic alone or Tails alone, even though he technically can't fly, but you see him do it all the time. You can't do it yourself. Make it make sense. Fix in the next game. Anyway, But the 2-player experience, it was great. It was awesome to play with a friend. If they couldn't keep up as much, you kind of had like the whole, not as big a stakes as Contra if the other person couldn't keep up, but it would suck for the other person if they couldn't keep up because, they didn't get to play all that much. But it was cool. It was cool to enjoy that at the time.
That was Joel all the time. He's always like.
Was that? I can't remember. Was Sonic 2? Was it split screen or were you on the same screen at the same time?
No, you were on the same screen at the same time. Split screen didn't come until Sonic 3.
So
that would be very frustrating.
There was though.
Oh no, there was
mode thing.
Yeah, there was a versus mode. That's correct. You're right.
You could race each other.
Yes.
Right, but I'm saying like if you were playing like 2-player, right? Like Diddy Kong kind of thing.
Same screen.
Yeah.
So you guys are on the same screen until somebody falls away.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody would die, right? Or it would hold you back until they.
Well,
I can't remember. I didn't play.
That's why I said less stakes than Contra, because like if that happened in Contra, like you would just die, but Tails would just catch up. Like he'd be off screen. Eventually, you'd fly back. And you're good.
Well, if it's like old school Nintendo Turtles, you could not move on until your player moved up.
Yeah.
Or they were dead. One of the two.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it did have a versus screen. I completely forgot because we never touched that mode.
Were you done with what you're going to say about Sonic 2, Victor?
That's pretty much it. Like the music is great all around. The game is actually pretty long. Until we actually, depending on how we talk about the next game or two, it was a pretty long game. It was a pretty damn long game. Lots of
even
content
the speed
there.
runs are long, truthfully.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I love watching them, but they're longer.
Yeah,
So,
there was just a lot more in that game packed. It's like basically twice the size of the first one.
Also, Robotnik actually, doing more exciting things because he was kind of boring in the first game.
Better boss fights for sure. The end boss particularly is way better.
Metal Sonic into the final boss.
Way better.
Am I the only one that equates the Robotnik fights to a lot of the Wily shit?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's similarities there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they're literally a crossover in the Archie comics. So
yeah,
it's where it's like, hey, I'm not really dead. I'll be back again.
Yep.
You know, somewhere later, about 2 minutes from now, in a different form.
Yeah, I mean, Sega literally took a lot of stuff, like a lot of inspiration from Dr. Wily. So to create the Eggman character, to create Robotnik.
I mean, I will say this. As Victor said, I'm a Nintendo fan. I don't believe I'm a Nintendo shill, but people are entitled to their opinions. everything that Jose said about Sonic 2, I feel is more accurate about Sonic 3. Everything, when Jose said the game became better, it was smoother, it played, because I remember playing Sonic 1 and I was not impressed. I remember playing Sonic 2 and really just feeling like it was Sonic 1 with a spin dash and an extra character. But Sonic 3, in my opinion, is where the game actually became something interesting that I wanted to play. I never really had a desire to play Sonic 1. I never had a desire to play Sonic 2. And like I said, I'd only play it when my cousin wanted to play. But Sonic 3, I enjoyed. Like, I actively wanted to play that game. I thought that the level design was better. I thought that the art was better. I thought that the power-ups they gave you in the game with the fire shield and the lightning shield to go along with the bubble, I thought were great. They added elements to the game. There were certain parts where you wanted the fire shield because if you pressed, I think it was the C button, you could like do a fire dash when you were in the air. Yep. The lightning shield, you could make it like shine spark almost like Samus, and it would give you just a little bit of an extra jump or an extra movement. I thought Sonic 3 was fantastic. That was when I really, really became a Sonic fan, was Sonic 3. And we're kind of approaching our hour. I don't want to spend a ton of time, but I mean, I will give you my hot take before Jose and Victor go. I guess I'm one of the very few people who was not overly impressed with Sonic and Knuckles. Even when Sonic and Knuckles came out, I remember being so excited and wanting to play it. And after I played it, I'm like, I'm going back to Sonic 3. Like that was my impression that I remember having. I thought Knuckles was a cool character. I liked Sonic 3 better.
Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry, I'm not very well versed. Didn't we have 1, 2 Sonic and Knuckles and then Sonic 3?
No, you had 1, 2, 3, and then Sonic and Knuckles, and then you could put Sonic 2
it was a separate game
into Knuckles.
I'm right in that respect. It was a separate game.
Yes.
Yeah, they were separate games.
All right,
we did skip a game, but I want to stick to
what
we're currently talking about.
Well, we'll talk about Sonic CD after.
Okay.
Because that is worthy of mention as well.
Sonic CD. That'll take you 45 minutes.
Well, Sonic CD is a really good game as well. But anyway, Sonic. To me, I'm actually the reverse of John's opinion. I actually did not like Sonic 3. It's not that I didn't like it. I liked it. I just didn't think it was like that big of an improvement over Sonic 2. I feel like the level designs for Sonic 3, and I'm talking about just base Sonic 3. The level designs were like not as good as Sonic 2. The camera was like a little bit further away than in Sonic 2 as well, so the sprites felt smaller. So a lot of like more space was made for like the actual like levels. So a lot of the times like the levels felt a little bit cluttered in comparison to like Sonic 2. But other than that, I mean, there were like some like improvements, like the addition of like new shield types and all that stuff. Definitely made the game a lot more interesting and gave it like a couple more things. But I just felt like it was like really, really similar to Sonic 2. And then Sonic and Knuckles came out. And then I feel like if you really want to play Sonic 3, the real way you play it is you play Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Like that's the actual full game.
Yep.
So when you actually play the full game, now is where you have like a ton of like brand new elements, like different things. Sonic 3 and Knuckles is you have now there's Act 1 bosses, there's mini bosses, right? You have different music between the acts. You have like a lot smoother storytelling than you did in Sonic 3. Sonic 3 felt, when you played it, it felt unfinished because it basically like ended like on a cliffhanger. So
you can actually save your damn game.
Yes, you can save your game in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Like it
so
just
you think
felt
it's like a filler game.
I think Sonic 3, they just wanted to push Sonic 3 out just so that that's what I felt. Yeah, I felt it was like a filler game.
Because they should have gone 1, 2, and then Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah, it should have just been Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Like that was the whole thing. Sonic 3 was meant to just like introduce Knuckles the character so that people could be interested in Sonic and Knuckles. That's what I felt like. It was more of like a marketing strategy than anything. The only other thing of note for Sonic 3 is that they had like there was like a whole thing about them having like Michael Jackson be like one of the producers of like the music for the game. And that's a whole another thing that we can go into later. But or like at some other time. That's gonna take too long.
long.
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I felt Sonic 3 and Knuckles was like that's the true Sonic 3. Like I don't even regard like Sonic 3 the original as like the actual game.
So I actually share that opinion. I do think the back half of the game, Sonic and Knuckles, is better because when I played Sonic 3, and it's not even to say that it's bad, but just coming off of Sonic 2, it's like, did we go backwards? We have 6 levels again? Like that's it? It's over?
Yep.
And the final fight didn't even like it didn't feel satisfying.
Correct.
But when you got Sonic and Knuckles, obviously like that's akin to like expansions back in the day where you got StarCraft Brood War, right? Like that's the expansion to that game, but it's actually like supposed to be one package, and putting the cards together was awesome. You technically would be able to also do that with Sonic 2 and play Knuckles in Sonic 2, which is great. With Sonic 3 and Knuckles played as a package, which then you get, I forget if it's around the same as Sonic 2 level wise, like as many
you had
levels.
More levels. You had more levels if you put them all together.
So you had a bunch of levels, 14 in total if you played a Sonic. That's how you got the most.
Yeah.
But you also had, in addition to the regular emeralds, you also had the hyper emeralds. So you could have additional forms. You had a hypersonic, you had a super tails, which was cool as shit because you could literally just put your controller down. This is way before games where you literally don't have to play them and they play themselves. You could put the controller down as Tails and have the homing birds kill everything. It was fucking great. But then you had I forget if it's Super or Hyper Knuckles, but he had
it's Hyper Knuckles.
That's when you go too fast with your hand and.
I think we're thinking of a different Hyper Knuckles there, Tony.
Also,
all I heard was Brood War, and I'm fixated on StarCraft now. Sorry.
Well, that's what I was referencing. Yeah, because that's the Brood War was the expansion of StarCraft. But to touch back on John's points, because we missed the water shield. The water shield had 2 functions. You had this like little bounce thing if you did it on ground.
Yep.
But if you're in the water, you didn't have to worry about let me get a bubble to try to survive
infinite air in the water. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is necessarily a hot take or not, but like the bonus stages are, they would change per game up to this point. I preferred the blue spheres to the both games actually before this.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Yeah, it was definitely a lot more like intuitive, like special zone that actually required like thinking. So yeah, I thought that one was. I actually like that one. Too.
Keep going.
I liked all of them.
And you could also clear like bigger clusters of the spheres if you like went around the edges
you did like
them.
Yeah, you did like the perimeter of them. Yeah, that was always really cool.
Yep.
Get extra rings as well. So.
And the music, like.
Oh yeah.
I skipped Mecha Sonic of the second game.
Yeah.
But I forget if I don't know if there's a difference, right? Because Mecha Sonic was silver in that. I don't know if it's a metal mecha, like if it's 2 different characters or not. I forget exactly how that works. But
talking about like the blue Sonic.
Yeah,
there was like a metal Sonic and like a Mecha Sonic. Yeah.
Yeah, because the one.
If I had to guess, it's all the same character.
I think it's all like Metal Sonic. Yeah.
The way they advertise them.
Yeah.
But specifically, the 1 and 3 is just badass because
he's a fleshed out character that like plays a big part in the story. Yeah. Whereas like in 2, he's just like a mini boss that you just like come across and like, oh wow, okay, the metal version of Sonic, that's cool. Whereas like in like Sky Sanctuary Zone, he's like summoning an army against you. Yep. So it's like, yeah, he's like definitely like a much more like fleshed out character. He also like turns his back on Robotnik, or Eggman. So like in the story, which is great. So yeah, he's a lot more fleshed out, which is really cool.
It was cool because you had a similar fight to the Metal Sonic of 2, but then it's like, oh, you thought we were done, didn't you? So he just jumps in the background for the Master Emerald and goes all super Metal Sonic.
Yeah, which is great.
So question for both of you, and I'm sure you guys will sit here and tear each other apart about it, but so with Sonic, there's a whole community of characters, right? Supporting characters that tell me I don't know. Are they strictly written for the show? Because there are other games that are like that are there's only certain characters exist during a show but never existed in games. And so you have like Emmy Rose, you have like those supporting characters. Are they comic book cartoon supporting? Are they actually part of the games?
They're part of the games, a lot of them, but they don't come until later. So, like I said, I think one of the first games to introduce like brand new characters outside of like the base 3 was like, I think didn't Sonic CD have one or no?
So Amy specifically, I think, was briefly like she basically was a nothing character, but
she was in Dreamcast, was she not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I played Dreamcast Sonic. I had Dreamcast. I bought it 4 times and sold it. But
we'll get to that because John can weigh in again on that as well.
Yeah, we only have like 6 minutes, so we might have to do this again next week. But I'm not sure how long he wants to drag this out tonight.
Well, I didn't know we were only going an hour this week.
Yeah, I thought
it was John. I was sure. I mean, from what I understood, it was only an hour, but I could be wrong.
Okay. But yeah, like they started like releasing the characters as like more games went on. Like I said, like Amy Rose like debuted in Sonic CD, and then like I said, you had like Vex the Gator come in, and what you call it, Knuckles Chaotix. But it didn't really explode until like the Sonic Adventure games. That's when like a ton of new characters started coming out.
All right. Sorry about that.
No worries.
As are we.
Yeah. So where are we now at?
I think we're good on Sonic 3 Knuckles.
Okay.
Pretty much.
If Sonic 3 Knuckles, that's a totally different game, guys.
So I'm good to go a little bit longer if everybody else is. Like we could do 10:30 instead of 10 if everybody's good. I know sometimes Tony's got to go to bed early, and I don't want to be presumptuous with the two of you because I know we all work. So I'm just throwing it out there.
I'm down. I thought it was going to be an hour and a half like the last time.
That's what I thought too.
If we're cool with that, go ahead and run. I'll step away for about 15 minutes though, and I'll come back.
Sure.
You guys
sure.
Run.
Sure. So do we want to go now to Sonic 3D Blast? Do we want to go to Sonic CD? What are we going to do?
We're not.
I think so. I mean, look. Obviously, the next thing would be like Dreamcast, and you could like weigh in on that too. With
I'd rather just skip ahead to Dreamcast.
We could briefly touch on CD
and Saturn and stuff.
The thing we don't talk about, but like so with CD, right? Because it's a lot of the same. You know.
Well, so did 3D Blast come out first, or did CD come out first?
No, CD came out first.
Yeah, it was CD first.
Yeah,
actually
definitely came out first.
I actually have a copy of that on the PC. I still have my Windows 95 CD from that. But the big thing with that game that kind of separated them from the rest was the fact that you could, if you ran fast enough or ran past the goalpost, you could change from present time into either the past, which would completely change the level around, and the same with the future time. You could do that as well. And it made the music different. It made the levels look different. Like that was the big thing for CD.
Yeah.
You could debate that kind of kills the momentum a little bit because if you go really fast and then sometimes you activate it by accident and you have to do the little sequence in between and then you come back and then you go past another goalpost and then you maybe end up there again by accident. Like that's the only knock I would give the game.
I think we're talking CD, right? That's what this is. I think that the only time I played Sonic CD, I think was maybe twice on a Sega CD, and it wasn't again until I was an adult that I played it. So I don't really have a lot of memories. What I do think I remember, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was Sonic CD that had an opening that looked like the Sonic cartoon, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, oh man, how did I skip over?
Yeah, that? Like that. I always thought was really cool.
Sonic Boom is one of the best Sonic themes that exists, and that opening was badass.
It reminded me of the Sonic cartoon that I loved, which is not the one that everybody else loved, but it was the one where Urkel voiced Sonic and Tails was really young, and they were constantly just like bothering Robotnik and trying to get chili dogs.
Yeah, the one that was like a
cartoon.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the two big ones that like everybody likes.
Yeah.
Urkel voiced him in both of those.
Yeah, he also voiced him in the like the more gritty,
The Saturday
mature
AM
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
He voiced them both.
But that one I remember watching the other one after school
Kiddos.
when I got home. Like it was so I enjoyed that so much, and then the Sonic CD, the opening is what stuck with me for all those years until I played it again because it was like that cartoon. So
Until Sonic Adventure, that was like the Sonic theme song.
Yeah.
Great. What do you think, Jose? You want to add anything to Sonic CD or not really?
So believe it or not, I actually never played Sonic CD. So
Okay.
because I never owned a Sega CD, nor did I ever get a chance to like go back and play it. So I can't really like say too much about Sonic CD. I've watched like playthroughs of it, but I never actually got a chance to play it myself. So I can't really comment on Sonic CD too much. I know it was a good game. That was all. So.
My cousin Trisha owned a Genesis, and that's how I played a lot of Sonic games. And she also had the benefit of renting a bunch of consoles from Blockbuster, so that's how we played other stuff. And that's how I think it was she rented the Sega CD from Blockbuster, and that's how we played that. Victor, do you want to add anything, or do we want to just skip the Dreamcast?
Man, are you guys sure that you don't want to touch upon Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine? That was.
I mean,
Sonic Tetris.
Moving on. Sonic Spinball. So
I thought that we were sticking with mainline games, but yeah, we could do that if you want.
No, I'm joking. Though to be fair, Sonic Spinball was a very fun like side game.
Yeah,
but no, I think yeah. Let's move on to like the 3D Sonics because I think those are really important to talk
3D
about.
Blast. That's the first one.
No, not skipping.
No,
3D
listen. We'll mention 3D Blast, and we will just say if it were a blast, it was a blast from your ass.
Yeah,
like that's really.
I'd have to agree. Yeah,
that's really all that can be said. That's the only kind of blast that was present in that game.
So I never owned a Saturn. Was there other Sonic games besides that one that came out for Saturn?
I don't remember because I didn't own a Saturn either.
Yeah, so Sonic R. Apparently.
Oh God.
Yeah, Sonic R was.
Oh God.
I don't even know what that is. So
okay, so I'm gonna describe it really quickly because it's really bad. Imagine Mario Kart, except there's literally no carts. The characters are just running, and ridiculously cheesy Sonic themes, which I know is saying something because a lot of them kind of are, but like actually bad but catchy at the same time.
Yeah, and the characters are slow as shit, and there's only 5 characters to choose from, so that's Sonic R.
Yeah.
So
it's bad.
Yeah, it's not a good game.
I mean, how many characters could there have been at that point anyway? I mean, 5 sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, there were only like 5 characters, and those were the 5 characters. I mean, there were other characters,
too. It would have been Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Metal Sonic.
No, not like Metal Sonic wasn't even a character you could play as.
Oh, okay.
It was Amy Rose, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think it was.
I think Metal Sonic was like an unlockable.
Okay,
that sounds right.
But like the main characters were just Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and Robotnik, and then you could unlock like Metal Sonic. I think was there like a Metal Knuckles in that game? I think there was a Metal Knuckles that you could unlock.
When we spent more time than we need to on this game.
Yeah. So I never played it, so I just like know very little. But yeah, like that's basically it. But yeah, let's talk about Sonic Adventure because that's
all right. Awesome. So, like, I told you guys that despite what Victor said about me hating Sega, I definitely love Sonic 3. But Sonic Adventure, I love that game from the first time I played it. I had a friend who had a Dreamcast, and I remember he was showing me all these games. And for whatever reason, he was not overly interested in Sonic Adventure. But that was one of the games in the stack that that his parents got him. And I'm like, hey, did you try Sonic yet? And he was like, no, it's not even open. He hadn't even unwrapped it. And I'm like, we got to try Sonic. And I remember that game was amazing, right? It was a fantastic game. I love the Sonic Adventure games.
Yeah, no, Sonic Adventure, I mean, it was such a good jump to what a 3D Sonic could be, and I feel like they nailed it with that first one. And then they improved it even more with like Sonic Adventure 2, which was just incredible. But the story, the soundtrack, the smoothness of the gameplay. I mean, there's so many like iconic moments in that first game. It was a super good game. It just sucked that not a whole lot of people really got to play the original on Dreamcast. A lot of people played it later on, but when it first came out, the Dreamcast was incredible. It was an incredible game.
But that awesome little memory card, right? Like, if I remember correctly, the what is it? The memory VMU. Yeah, the VMU, right? Like, and it had like a little Sonic game that you could play on it if you had Sonic Adventure saved on it.
Best memory card in gaming, hands down.
Yeah. Like it was like a little Tamagotchi. It was crazy.
Yep. Yeah, it was super cool.
And I don't know, man. I've read a lot of people hating on the Sonic Adventure games online. Like, people are like, Sonic never should have went to 3D. Like, it makes no sense. He should have stayed 2D. And I don't know how people could say that, because Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 were absolutely amazing games. 100%.
Do I want to go hot take territory, or do I just want to contribute to the conversation?
No, speak your mind, dude. Yeah, speak your mind.
Oh boy. Considering what already happened early on stream. All right, so here we go. So the context I'm going to give before I give this extremely hot take that literally no one's going to agree with. I tend to prefer 2D games to 3D games when it comes to platforming, like just in general, right? I personally think the transition from 2D to 3D worked way better for Sonic than it did for Mario. And there is a 2-year gap between the two, so part of that's unfair. And I'm certainly not going to take away from Mario 64 in the sense that it had to start somewhere, right? But with Sonic, you had everything you liked about Sonic in 3D. You had the speed was there. The levels were there. Outside of, Sonic 06 territory where I literally got stuck in the bridge once, we're going to ignore that. But, like that did happen in the Dreamcast version, but it's a great game. It's a great game. I love it.
Yeah. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it did it better. They were definitely, like, Mario 64 is not a perfect game. It's a great game. But I mean, it definitely had like camera issues. I think Sonic Adventure definitely had a much better camera system than Mario 64 for sure. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's hard to say. Because like I said, Mario 64 definitely came out a lot like earlier than Sonic Adventure. I think it was like about
like 2 years earlier.
Yeah, like 2 years. So it was like 2 full years. And we hadn't seen like a really big move into 3D for like platformers, because I mean, even though the PlayStation had been out, like there weren't really like crazy amazing like platformers outside of like Crash Bandicoot. But I think, when did Crash Bandicoot come out? Did it come out the same year?
I think that was the same year, actually. That would be more direct competition.
Yeah.
If we're going by timeline.
It came out in 96. So
yep.
Yeah, it came out around the same time.
Like a few months after.
Yeah, so Sonic Adventure came out 2.5 years after Mario 64 release. And we're talking about the Japan release, which happened first for both games, but it was 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And again, I mirror what Jose said. Not to contradict Victor's opinion that I'm a Nintendo shill, but I do not think that Mario 64 was a perfect game. There were absolutely camera issues. There were elements of the game that were repetitive and didn't function the way that we would have hoped that they would. I will, however, say that I don't think that Sonic Adventure or many of the 3D games actually could exist without the foundation laid by both Mario 64 and then Ocarina of Time, right? Because Sonic specifically had that like targeting system. And the targeting system, the first game to introduce a targeting system in a 3D space was Ocarina of Time, right? So like
True.
without Mario 64 learning to walk and Ocarina of Time learning to run, Sonic would not have been able to go Mach 1 or whatever Victor wanted to say. Like it was definitely built on the foundation that those two games created.
Yeah. I will say I definitely think the Sonic Adventure games really perfected what and really like moved forward by a lot what a 3D platformer could be.
Absolutely. 100%.
So so I think like there's a lot of like current platformers that also took a lot from Sonic Adventure, like the Sonic Adventure games as well. I just think, like I said, man, those games were just like the total package when it came to 3D platformers. Like that's peak 3D platforming.
Yeah, and you know, I think what it is a lot of people online have the same opinion that Victor does as far as the preference of 2D platformers. I just can't believe that all these years later, people can say that Sonic Adventure and then by extension Sonic Adventure 2 kind of ruined what Sonic was supposed to be, because I don't see that. Have there been a lot more missteps in the 3D Sonic games? Absolutely, but I would argue that it's harder to make a 3D Sonic game than it is to make a 2D Sonic game. Right? Like a lot more could go wrong. So yeah, there's going to be missteps, right? But I don't know. I thought, like I said, Sonic 3 is where I really became a fan of Sonic, and Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 is where that was solidified forever.
Yeah. To kind of touch on that point, because like I don't think I'll just say I think it's less about Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 necessarily being bad. Like I'm sure there are people saying that. I would say that's wrong, but it's more about how the games aged. But also Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2 are also kind of different games, and we'll get into this because we're going to go to 2 right afterwards. But like, there's more of an adventure in the first game versus the second game. The second game was actually a lot more straightforward than the first game was, because the first game it's like, you know, play this same story but across like 6 characters, you know, one of which doesn't count. No one likes Big the Cat.
Hey, you leave Duke Nukem alone.
You know, even John St. John can't vouch for that character, so it is what it is. But you know, we have to do something somewhere, right? But it is what it is. I really do like Sonic Adventure 1. I actually, as a child, I preferred 2 to 1. It actually might be reversed nowadays, and I'll get into that when we talk about 2.
I mean, I still prefer 2 to 1.
But 1 also, to touch on the themes thing again, has Open Your Heart, which plays during that final fight. Which also, can we talk about Chaos? Because like Chaos is like an amazing
boss fight,
amazing character to be put into the Sonic series. The way they basically took a water character, gave it a personality, the water alien, you want to call it.
Yep.
The way it would show up in different ways throughout the game, and then that final fight where Open Your Heart does play, you get to be Super Sonic, you're racing through the city, and it's just awesome.
Yeah,
amazing game.
Yeah,
that I think that Sonic Adventure was really Sonic Adventure, and then Sonic Adventure 2 were really the Dreamcast games I spent the most time with. I also played a lot of Ready to Rumble boxing. For the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
But Sonic Adventure, man, I was blown away. It was so good. And then I played a little bit of Sonic Adventure 2 on the Dreamcast, but the majority of Sonic Adventure for me was GameCube. And then GameCube, after releasing Sonic Adventure 2, then a couple of years later went back and released Sonic Adventure 1 as the DX Director's Cut, and I bought that as well.
Yeah. Which is very, very good.
I mean, do we want to say anything more about Sonic Adventure, or do we just want to like jump into Sonic Adventure 2?
I mean, I don't really have much else to say.
Yeah, all right, I mean, we could jump into 2.
All right, so diving into Sonic Adventure 2, it's like being thrown onto that street right? Running away from the truck that's coming barreling down where Escape from the City is playing. Like, Sonic Adventure 2 was just head and shoulders, in my opinion, better than Sonic Adventure 1, which is saying quite a lot. The only complaints I have for Sonic Adventure 2 are the Knuckles and Rouge stages, where the directions are terrible, the clues are even worse, and the game you spend forever. But I think take those sections away, and I don't really see how you could have complaints about that game.
So I'm going to piggyback directly off of that because this leans into what I was talking about earlier. First off, to specifically point out what is easily the worst third of the game, which is those sections with Rouge and Knuckles.
Yep.
In the first game, when you were finding these, they were in set spots.
Yes.
In the second game, they were not.
Which is what made it bad.
Yeah.
They tried to randomize it, but the coding for randomizing it, I mean, the coding worked, but everything else, including like, because you have the little the gem in the center of your screen, like at the top, and it would change colors depending on how close you were to it. It never worked. It genuinely never worked, and I think that it was the randomization that ruined that.
Like, don't get me wrong, I like jamming out to Pumpkin Hill, but when you've heard it for the 100th time, you know, I don't know. Like, I just lose the care for it at that point. But then I also, upon revisit, right? Like, this is where it makes me sound like I hate the game, and I don't know. 2 has not aged well, because I also don't think the Tails and Robotnik sections are particularly good. And it might be less about the clunkiness of it and more that when you aim the thing, you literally have to hear that annoying beeping throughout the entire level. And that's for both of them. And then the boss fights aren't particularly good either. Like, the main reason to play the Sonic games, like the whole, you know, gotta go fast, you know, rush through the game, that's the Sonic and Shadow sections. So I would make the argument that while the game is good, it has a lot of great music, so on and so forth, that it hasn't aged particularly well, and a third of the game is great. The rest, not so much.
Yeah, see, like, I never had any problems with the Tails and the Robotnik stages. Is the beeping kind of annoying? Sure, but like, look at the time, right? So whenever you're watching any kind of movie, any kind of action movie, when they're shooting missiles or they're locking onto targets, you hear that beep. So at the time that the game was developed, it would have been, the complaint would have been, well, how do I know it's targeting? How do I know it's locking on, right? So it's a product of its time. And so when you say it didn't age well, I mean, I think it aged exactly how it was supposed to, considering that was the whole purpose of putting it in there to begin with. I don't know that I would prefer the game without it, to be honest. Does it get a little annoying sometimes? Sure. But I don't know that they could have done it in a better way that would have been as functional or as functionally appealing, right? I love flying around as Knuckles and Rouge. The searching was what was shitty. So I would say 2/3 of the game, 1/3 of the game was great. Another third of the game was good. And then the last third of the game was very meh. That's how I would put it.
So it's ever so slightly more than a third because like the final levels with like Bio Lizard, then it's back to Sonic. The final fight, it's back to Sonic / Shadow. So, you know, those 2 levels add that to the good third or good 2/3 for your argument.
Yeah. But I mean, plus, how do you knock a game that gives you Shadow the Hedgehog? Like, seriously, how do you
Shadow the Hedgehog's the greatest thing about Sonic Adventure 2, hands down.
Let me ask you guys this: do you think that, because I mean, Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, like, these games came out over 20 years ago. Do you think that they should remake or remaster these games?
So Victor and I have had this conversation for years. I think the first time we had this conversation, Victor, right, was like back in 2006 when you and I first met, and Sonic Adventure and Adventure 2 really weren't even that old then. And then when they released it was it? It was 2010, 2011, somewhere around there that they released the Sonic Adventure games on Xbox Live, right? Like that was when they were added. From that point, I had been saying they need to give these games a full remaster, and it's such a source of frustration and consternation on my part that Sega's like, no, we don't have any desire to remake any of our games. It's like, what? Like, put a team together and just have a team specifically for remaking things, and then have the rest of your teams like making the new stuff. Like, you can do both. You don't have to do one or the other. It's the same argument I want to shake Nintendo into understanding, right? Like, Ocarina of Time came out 27 years ago. Remaster the game. Put a whole new team together just to do that. You don't have to give up one thing to do the other thing. Do both. How many times has Final Fantasy VII been remastered for, like 100 million times already?
Yeah. Whoa. Pick a different game.
Or like even like Kingdom Hearts too. Like Kingdom Hearts gets
remastered. Whoa. Pick a second different game.
Well, I mean, we're not knocking the games. We're just saying like it's frustrating when you have classic franchises with classic games like Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 that just have never received a remake or a remaster.
Because the publisher
awesome and Final Fantasy VII amazing. Like those are good games. Just keep them going. It's fine.
I mean, has it really only been one remake, Victor? Because I remember a remake for like the PS3, and now there's another remake.
No, they're enhanced ports of the original game. Basically, they're not remakes. So we have one remake with a huge technicality because Square Enix wants your fucking money and they're dragging that shit out across 3 games. But technically only one remake in the form of remake, rebirth, and whatever the fuck they're calling the third one when it comes out.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, I have no idea. I don't understand why video game companies, this is the majority of them, are so averse to taking my money. Right? It's like, you want my money for stupid things. Like, I buy Amiibo. Cool. Right? Like, you want my money. But give me Metroid Prime 2 and 3 remastered. Take my money. Oh, you don't want my money? Here it is. Like, take it. If Sega were to announce a remake for, or even like an actual real remaster, not the remaster we got when it was released on Xbox Live, which wasn't a remaster at all. I'd be surprised they actually did anything to it. Like if they were to announce that, I'd buy it day one. Like as soon as they made the announcement, I'd be like, here's the money. Here's the money. 5 minutes. It'd be just like when Nintendo announced the Metroid Prime remaster. Not even 5 minutes went by. I was in a debate tournament actually. And they announced it, and I got notified. I think Victor texted me, and I immediately called Jen and was like, hey, turn on my Switch and download this game right now. I want to play it when I get home. Like, immediately. It wasn't even 5 minutes. That's exactly what would happen with Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. Take my money. Charge me $60 for the games. Charge me $70 for the games. If you're going to bundle them together, charge me $100. I don't care. Give me the games.
Damn. Willing to drop those triple digits before GTA 6.
Listen, man.
Y'all heard it here, folks.
If I was getting both Sonic Adventures remastered together in a bundle, I'll definitely pay $100 for that. I wouldn't complain at all. Of course, everybody else would. I would not.
Okay.
It'd be worth it.
I do think they should be remade in some form. Just my quick take on that.
Definitely agreed.
All right, Psycho, you gonna wrap this or what?
I mean, we can if you guys are ready to wrap it up.
We got a little bit more time. I do want to address because for the most part, first off, obviously not the host, but I do want to thank everybody for coming out that has been participating in chat. Something I do want to mention, the whole Sonic 1 Adventure 1 and 2 remain beloved. They push the boundaries of 3D platforming, provide good storytelling. Of course, from here, it does get rocky with the 3D games.
It does.
They're very hit and miss from this point.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, if we're going on time, we only have 5.5 minutes.
Yeah.
There
is some good that came from as a result of that, though, which is the return back to the 2D.
Yes. Yes, which is a big one. That Sonic Mania, like that's all
Sonic
that needs
Mania.
to be said.
Yeah.
I mean, and I mean, we do have a couple minutes, so we could definitely mention some things like Sonic Heroes. After Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Heroes was kind of a letdown. More than kind of a letdown. It was absolutely a letdown because there wasn't much to do. There was no real story. There was no real action. It just wasn't. It wasn't very good. And then, I mean,
it was also Sonic's the first like major mainline Sonic game to not be on a
Sega console.
Sega console.
Yeah.
So that was like so I think it started with that. So yeah, it was
and
not
then
great.
We have Sonic 06, which Victor's already talked about getting stuck. Like, there's so much wrong with that game.
Well, even before that, you had Shadow the Hedgehog before that.
Yeah, but so things also went wrong for Sonic for Shadow the Hedgehog, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, you had like terrible game after terrible game.
You for some reason they're like, let's scrap everything that Shadow did in Sonic Adventure 2 and just give him guns and a motorcycle.
Different game, but yes.
It was
his standalone game that exists for some reason.
It was weird, man. Like, because all the mainline Sonic games were really bad, but then like you had hidden gems on the handheld.
Sonic Advance 1, 2, and 3 were amazing.
Yeah, and Sonic Rush on the DS was amazing, but they were so not well known because obviously the bad publicity that Sonic was getting basically because of the mainline games. A lot of people missed out on these awesome handheld games like Sonic Advance 1, 2, and 3, and the Sonic Rush games.
Didn't they do some kind of Sonic RPG game as well? Like on the DS, wasn't there like a Sonic RPG?
Yeah, it was Rush Adventure. I think was the RPG.
No, I think there's I don't even know what that is, but I think there's another one. It had like Sonic mostly on the cover. It was like Chronicles or something.
I don't remember, but yeah, and then there was the return to 2D, which was great, but then we also had the 3D games, like the two that came out on the Wii. You had Sonic and the Secret Rings, and then Sonic and the Black Knight. And the Secret Rings was okay. It wasn't a great game, but it wasn't terrible in my opinion.
We also had Sonic Unleashed.
Sonic Unleashed, yeah, but that was a
Where Sonic
game.
Yeah,
like we did not need a were hedgehog. Like, I don't understand where that came. They was like they were just throwing things out to see what people would accept. And most of them were not good.
Sonic kissed a human princess in one of them.
Yeah.
But Sonic Colors was great.
And then Sonic Generations was also amazing.
Yeah, Sonic Generations was fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah.
Great revisit that combined both realms,
3D and
2D and 3D.
Yeah, it was so cool, that game.
And the story was great. They tied it together and it actually worked. It wasn't just like, oh, look, here's two separate things and suspend your disbelief, and that's why they're together. Like, the story actually worked.
Yep.
And since we're talking about that, we might as well mention the sequel, essentially, quote unquote.
Sonic was it Sonic?
Sonic X Shadow Generation.
Sonic. Yes.
Shadow Generations.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I haven't played it, but I definitely was interested in playing it. I can't pay full price for a game key card on the Switch 2, and I'm not going to pay full price to play the game on the Series X either. So, like, when I get a decent sale, I will get it on whoever gives me the sale price that I want first.
I may have to dial back my comment a bit if you're not willing to support a game key card. Like, that's good. I commend you.
Yeah, I'm not. I want the game on the card. You're going to make the card. You're going to give me the card. Put the game on the card. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Now, again, if I get that game for $20, sure, I'll buy it. I'll download it on my Switch too, but I'm not going to buy the game key card.
Yep.
Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood on Nintendo DS. That's what they are.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay. Sonic Chronicles.
But real quick, the mobile ports of I think it was Sonic 1 and 2. The team that worked on that, it was because of that team. It might have been like this one guy. I'm getting my like details mixed up, but the point is like he put out decent ports of the game that eventually led to Sega turning around and picking this guy up to make Mania. Which is...
Isn't he also the guy that fixed the design of Sonic for the movies?
I don't know that.
Didn't they go to him to have him fix the design for the movie? Because the original design was terrible and everybody hated it.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, that design was nightmare fuel. So,
but this led to one of the best Sonic games that exists. And in the sense of like how it ran, I mean, it's not fair because it's all these years later, but of course, you know, whether we're talking about Genesis or NES, you know, you get to certain platforming sections and they would lag a bit. There's no lag. This is just buttery smooth 60 frames per second. So playing a Genesis type Sonic game, smooth as hell, fucking fantastic. Mania is an amazing fucking game.
Yeah, it is.
Years ago, I had an opportunity to buy all 3 Sonic Advance games for like $20 complete, and I didn't do it. And I wish that I had, because those games now are expensive on their own. Yeah, what can you do? I mean, we have hit the 10:30 mark, and I know that Tony's got to work tomorrow, and you can see he's tired. So I'm thinking we should start wrapping it up. But I don't know. I mean, we could go on talking about Sonic for quite some more time.
Yeah. Maybe we didn't even touch upon the movies at all. So
yeah, like maybe if this does well, like in the numbers,
roll it to next week, man. Roll it to next week. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, I mean, part of it is that Wheezy has made it clear he has no interest in talking about Sonic, so that's why we were able to kind of do this tonight.
So what I'm hearing is roll it to next week and fuck Wheezy. Roll it to next week.
We're not doing that.
fuck one of the hosts of the podcast.
Like,
it's his cast, not mine. Roll that shit to next week.
The person that the person who created the podcast, like, we're just gonna cut him out. We're not doing that.
Listen, I've made the executive decision as a patron of Stork to roll it on to the next week.
All right. Well, listen, I don't want to cut it right this second in case Jose or Victor has anything to say. You guys want to say anything before we get out of here? Or
yeah, what do you have to say?
I will say, actually, is kind of a bummer. But during the podcast, found out that Kerry Tagawa died.
Oh wow! So, that sucks.
Rest in peace, Kerry Tagawa. A big part of my childhood.
So would you say fatality or finish him, or?
I think that would be too soon. I think that's disrespectful.
Yeah, like he was a big part of childhood, man. Like I love that guy. Yeah. So rest in peace, Kerry Tagawa. But otherwise, great stream, very fun.
Victor.
Agreed. I want to thank everyone again in chat for being a part of this whole thing, and of course the Chris and Spirit. And John for bringing it back on. Jose, it was good speaking with you again and being with you on this thing. It's good. Tony, pleasure. I'm sure I'll see you again sometime.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man. So I just want to take a moment to thank everybody that came in the chat and was watching and leaving comments. I know we didn't mention all the comments as they were popping up. Joe had a lot of cool things to say. We had some other friends in here, some visiting for the first time. Hopefully they enjoyed the podcast and they want to come back. We do Collector's Hideout every Thursday, and every Tuesday we do Drinks and Toys, and they're focused on different things, but they're a good time every time. And so I highly encourage all of you that made it out tonight, that were watching and contributing, to try to make it out 9:00 on Tuesdays, 9:00 on Thursdays. We'd love to have you guys there dropping comments, and I'm just super appreciative of you guys being out here, and I'm super appreciative that Wheezy gave us this opportunity and this platform to talk about Sonic. And I'm also very appreciative of Tony for coming out and running it, because I couldn't run this program. So I'm really grateful he gave up his time to sit here and listen to us, just talk about stuff he probably doesn't care about.
Yeah, shout outs to Big Tone.
Whatever, man. I had a good time. It's always a good time.
Tony, you know that comment you made about Knuckles, the debatably inappropriate comment about Knuckles?
Uh-huh.
What was put in chat, this Pump That Pikachu, has very similar context. So I figured I'd point that out. There actually is a story to that, but we're going to wrap up. So
yeah, we're going to wrap up.
Very, very quick. When I left you guys to go step away 15 minutes, I watched a 13-minute speed run of Sonic the Hedgehog 1.
Nice.
Because I'm like, I know damn well he's not that slow, and I'm watching him like, nope.
Yeah, it's because he's not even on screen like most of the time. That's why.
I'm like, this guy's skipping every third level now.
You see like a level scroll. I was like, where the hell is Sonic? He's not even on the screen. And
half the runtime is in Labyrinth Zone.
Yeah, next thing you know, he's not even on this. Like he's just on Robotnik all of a sudden. What the hell?
That was so much fun.
Oh man, good times.
All right, I'm gonna thank you, Psycho. I'm gonna go ahead and kill it.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for coming out. I'm hitting stop.
All right.